Okay, so welcome to Nerea, to the
Welcome.
to the Unschooled podcast. Nerea, thank you so much for joining us. I'm really happy that we've managed to get this interview together. So I just want to start by just sort of introducing you from my point of view. So Nerea has been working with me as a sort of business coach and a mentor, and we kind of connected on Facebook, and we've kind of been working together for a little bit. And it seems like whenever we're sort of working together and having a conversation, often it always turns into a conversation about education. So I thought we would actually take the opportunity to have a proper conversation about it. So just if you just want to maybe tell everyone who you are and what the Happy World company is, maybe to begin with.
It's a big question.
That's a big one.
Of course. Who are you? That's one of those questions, like, I ask my clients sometimes, like, if we remove everything you are, who are you? And they go like, the brain goes like, So it's a difficult question. But who I am, okay, so I'm a Spanish woman that came to England 8 years ago. And I decided 4 years ago that I will dedicate my life to inspire or help people to feel better with themselves, to feel more confident about life, and to basically live life in their terms or in the way they believe is right for themselves. Because I think it's very easy to get distracted in society and, in the whole world, really. So that's a very nice way to explain it. Other times I will say I just make people smile, or I make people happy, or I'm just completely random in my actions, whatever. Like, there's plenty of ways I could explain the same thing. But I think that's kind of making some sense for people to understand it. So I run workshops and seminars, conferences through the Happy World Company. And the Happy World Company, it's, I like to call it like an innovative coaching company, where we use coaching and neuro-linguistic programming tools to help people, perhaps learn public speaking, perhaps find the passion, or just, become more confident in front of the camera. And I believe it's very, very innovative, because we combine things like photography, makeup, music with coaching. So that's how I like to see the Happy World Company, and that's how I see it. And yeah, we are happy people.
I think that's a great description. So knowing a little bit about your company and how it works, and knowing knowing some of your products. So maybe if we start talking about the two main products that I'm familiar with, which is your weekend course, Live Life Your Way, which I've done, which is amazing. And also your pose workshop, which is about developing confidence and self-esteem in front of the camera. I think one of the questions that I wanted to ask you about those two programs is that, for me, they are both amazing examples of unschooling. And what I mean by that is breaking down the things that we've been taught and the things that we've learnt, and trying to relearn new skills. So perhaps you could maybe talk about those two programs, how they maybe differ, but maybe in the context of learning and unlearning things.
You said Live Life Your Way and
Pose.
Pose, yes. So, all right. So, connected to unlearn or unschooled. So Live Life Your Way for me it's almost getting people into, obviously, so getting people connected with themselves more, with their energy. Which sounds a little bit abstract for some people, maybe. So it's almost like, all right, so this is what we know until now. This is what we've learned. What from all these things are getting in the way of our growth, getting in the way of who we really are, getting in the way of what we really, really deep inside want to do? Many times people don't know what they deep inside want to do, because they've never actually asked themselves, or they've never really got into that space of allowing themselves to like express what they really want. Let's say an example is, some people might admire a millionaire, or like my admire a celebrity, or my admire a writer that is just writing in the house all day long and that's all they do, or my admire I don't know, a manager in the restaurant, or any normal job, a cook, I don't know, like whatever job you want to think about, right? Like a library receptionist, I don't know, like whatever. You admire that person, but then somehow you're never honest about it. You know, you like it, but you don't really jump into it. You don't really put yourself in that scenario because it's too far away from you at the moment, or
Right.
or it's never being into your reality. Let's say, to give you an example, a personal example, when I was in Spain, I grew up in Spain, and I always admire photography, like models, you know, all these beautiful pictures from models. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. But it was so outside my reality, because in my school, no one ever told me you can become a model, or you can become this, you can be, you know, an actress. So in Spain, in my city specifically, there is not a lot of culture about fashion or about acting, or about the artistic world. Is like, oh, that's a waste of your time. That's kind of the so when you have had this kind of education or this kind of environment or culture around you, you don't see things, or you don't see yourself into places that perhaps are available for you. So I think in this workshop specifically, Live Life Your Way, is about opening up for more opportunities of things that perhaps are there for you, but you've never really put yourself into that place. And what is around you that is not allowing you to access there, because it does happen in many occasions that you don't go there. So what do we need to do to actually to access those places, or to ignore what we have learned? So we have to unlearn. We have to almost like, okay, all of these things that I've learned perhaps are not the things that are helping or allowing me to, you know, to flourish.
I mean, one of the things that I did on one of the things that I did on Live Life Your Way was an amazing values exercise. Do you remember that, where you come up with the 3 values?
Yeah.
And to me, that was a really good summary of getting to know yourself and getting to know what's important to you. Because how do you know how do you know the direction you want to move in if you don't know what the most important things to you are?
Yeah. So it's like going deeper. Yeah.
And where in your education have you ever been asked to think about yourself?
Yeah, never, basically. I think, well, never. In my occasion, never, until I was 18 or 19, because I went to a seminar. If not, I would probably never do that, I think.
So who were you at school? Let's just flip back a little bit. We've talked about this before. You know, what kind of person were you at school? How did you see yourself, and how did you make the change? You said you went to one seminar, but was it a long process, or?
It was when I was, I think, 18 or 19, something like that, I think. And basically, so I went to normal school. Well, when I was very young, I went to, how do you call it? It's like private, but not private, half. Very modern school. We didn't have exams. It was really cool. It was like Unschooled in a school, really. Like I was so lucky to go to that school, because there was no exams. There was no uniform, like school uniform. It was run by hippies, to be honest. But it was actually expensive, because it was like the most modern, innovative school ever. So the problem with that school for me was that I was bullied, and because most of my friends or classmates, they had more money than me, and you know, my family was a bit abnormal because I didn't have a father, etc. So I think that school gave me very good values, but at the same time I was struggling because of this other side. So the school itself was amazing, was giving me this very modern thinking, or very open-minded thinking. But then, you know, I didn't enjoy because of the thing. Then I went to a public school. Then I changed to another public school. But from the moment I went to public school, it was fine in terms of the bullying, whatever. I made friends, you know, I was okay with it, whatever. It was more like I felt more equal than everyone else around. And then What was your question?
This always happens. So the question was, who were you at school, and what limitations did you have? And how did you break through those limitations?
All right. Yes. Cool. So in my first school, because I went to 3 schools, right? So that's the thing. And then I went to high school and then university. But these 3 schools, which are, let's focus in those. In the first one, the limitations or the things that didn't work for me was obviously the bullying part. Like, teachers will assume that I have to protect myself, right? Because obviously some kids are bullied, some kids are not. So I believe bullying is not only fault of the person that is bullying, but the person that is being bullied is involved in it as well. Is allowing that to happen because we don't have the resources to protect us. We don't have the resources to answer to that. We don't have the knowledge or whatever we don't know how to do it. Like, for me, I was supposed to be there, right? It's like, I have no idea how to get out from this situation. And
we're also not trained or taught how to do it.
Exactly. No, there was, your parents, my mother was telling me, tell them not to hit you, tell them not to punch you, tell them not to do this to you, tell them not to, but I will say that, and it didn't work. And they were also, my brother was telling me, tell their teachers about it. But I was not telling the teachers, in fact, because I was scared that they will hit me harder later. So, you put yourself into that prison a little bit. It's like a circle that you cannot go out from because you're afraid of them. So whatever you do is going to be worse later, and no one is going to be able to protect you. Sure. So, it was really like, it's really mess. Like, I really struggle for people for kids that are having that situation. I was like, ugh. So that was the first thing that I couldn't manage. Like, I wouldn't know how to actually do. In terms of education, as I said, that was really good. I wish all schools were like that school. There was theater. There was a lot of going out. Like, we were camping. We were doing lots of stuff that, most schools don't do. Then my next school was all about memorizing things. It was about read the book, memorize it, and vomit in the exam. Like, whatever you've memorized.
Basic school, right?
Yes. And that was so terrible. I felt I was never learning anything. I was like, there was no encouraging. Like, another thing that I found really, really stupid was, like, whatever you were bad at, let's say I was bad at English and mathematics, like most of kids, or maybe like half of them. But like, I was one of those typical kids that is not very good at English, not very good at mathematics. And in my reality, it was always like that. And I still probably, now obviously I've overcome these thoughts because I've studied economics and I'm living in England. So it's obvious that, it's not, I don't have any problems with that. But in a school, my identity was telling me I've got problems with these 2 subjects because I'm not able to pass them, or I'm always almost. And it's interesting because schools, they give you more of that more of the things that you're not good at. They give you more English, they give you more mathematics. But then if you're brilliant at drawing, they don't give you more of that. Or if you're brilliant at technologies, or you're brilliant at innovation, or you're brilliant at history, they don't give you more of it. They say, oh, great, well done. But like, what I believe is, like, if you want to create excellent people, if you want to create outstanding people or characters, I think you need to encourage them in what they do well as well. It's okay to train yourself in what you're really bad at, to kind of, reach everyone's level. But if they were teaching you more of what you're good at, you'll be brilliant at it. You'll be the best of the best. And suddenly you will have amazing skills to become someone really important in that area, or to just outstand from the crowd. And I don't think school is creating people that is outstanding from the crowd. It's creating average people, or like people that is okay with everything.
There's quite a lot that's been written about that. That's a really That's a really important point. And for me, it connects back to what you were saying earlier, in the sense that, that's the process where you start becoming divorced from yourself, if you like. You're moved away from who you actually are, who you can be, and what's great about you, and told to fit in the box that randomly the school has decided you're supposed to fit in.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a shame, because even in your personality, right? Like if you are, I was always a very good kid in the class because I was really shy, so I wouldn't actually make any noise, or like, you know, I wouldn't like disturb the teacher. But for those kids that were disturbing the teacher because they were bored, you know, and they needed to express or whatever, these kids, instead of treating them as someone special, someone that is very smart, or, you know, instead of reframing the scenario for them and saying, wow, this person, this kid is like that, or like, you know, making them flourish more, that will maybe that will encourage them to be quiet, let's say, than if you just put them in the corner. Yeah. So what I think is like the whole system is just a little bit because it's like, when you are a kid that is super smart, you cannot stay quiet because you're bored. And that means you're bored because this is too easy for you. There's nothing there for you. It's like, okay, this is what? Instead of putting these kids into a place that is great, you know, like, I don't know how you call the pedestal, you know, like.
A
pedestal. Yeah, you just put them in the corner and you tell them that they are wrong and they are, you know, disturbing the class. And I understand the point, because they have to continue the class and you cannot just kind of ignore it. But I'm sure there is another way to make these kids understand the whole culture, but without making them feel they are wrong or they are, you know.
Okay, so if I could just move on a little bit. So the change came for you when you went to a seminar when you were 18, is that right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you change all the time, like there's no,
right.
But I think from the moment, I think the change meaning, like when I started to think outside the box, or like to listen to myself more, it was thanks to this seminar, because they were asking things about myself, or like, I mean, about me. They were asking us questions about ourselves in terms of, what do you like? What do you want to do in 10 years? How do you see yourself next year? Or like, you know, what are your values? This values exercise, it came from that seminar. And then I was like, okay, I had no idea how to answer the questions. First of all, I was blank completely. Like if that was like an alien asking me questions in alien language, I was like, what's that? So it was from that moment I started to think more about that, and I was like, okay, so what are my values, and what is driving my life at the moment, and what are my patterns, and how I do behave when this happens, and how I react to this situation, and what do I like, what do I want to do in 10 years? You know, I started to like, whoa, do I want to be remembered when I die? What do you want to be remembered for? You know, I was started to think about all this stuff. I was, oh my God, I'm actually living now, and this is happening now, and I could just be doing something that is more exciting, or at least I could know myself more. So from that moment, I think I trusted myself more I started to trust myself more, meaning when I was going to university, or when I was going to university, I wouldn't just believe everything the teacher is saying, but I would be like, wait a minute, let me contrast this with reality. Let me check this out. Let me experience this. Let me explore it. And that's why one of the things I always say in my seminars is like, don't believe what I'm saying. Go and check it out. Like, you know, go and double check it. Who am I to tell you what's right? It's like, hello, it's like, wake up. You know, it's like, you know things that I don't know. So even if I tell you this tool is great, make it yours. Like, you know, use it for yourself. Twist it in the way that it works for you. And it's not only about coaching, it's about everything. History. You learn in history and you believe everything that is written in the book. Why do you do that? Like, read 7 books until you find the contradictions, and then you go, oh, okay, so all of this is pretty much bullshit. Or like, or there's half of the information lost. Obviously it's lost, like information get lost in the way. So like, you know, it's just like, and I think because there is another consequence about doing this, about believing what people tell us, that because, so we're trying to put it into an organized place in our head. We're trying to be in control of, you know, humans in general, we try to understand everything, to put everything into a logic boxes, right? Sure. When we're trying to do that all the time, that's almost, I will explain it, it's like a defense to be in control. It's like, it's to be okay with what we are learning. Like, I don't know if I'm being too abstract today, but like, I feel like,
no,
but like, you know, we're trying to fit everything into an organized box, or like, and that can create a lot of stress as well. That can create the need of wanting to be in control. But from the moment we say, okay, this book might not be completely true, or might have some mistakes, or maybe, you know, if I read another book, I'm going to find something else. If we live life with that openness, stress levels reduce, because we're not trying to like fit everything in. We're not trying to understand. We don't need to understand everything. And that's what I mean. Okay. Like, you read the newspaper and you go, oh my God, the government is doing this. But then you read another newspaper and it's doing exactly the opposite. I remember I was reading an article about if the penis size matters, right? Yeah, there was a study that was explaining if that matters to women. And with the same exact study, there was titles that said the penis size matters. And then in other newspapers or magazine, the penis size doesn't matter. And it was exactly the same study, but they just focus in different things. It's like, so
I'm so glad that on Unschooled we've got to talk about penis size. It's
just like
I think we've arrived.
Yes, all the kids that are watching this, we've got.
Can I ask you? We haven't really talked about this very much, but I know it's really important to me. It was a really valuable tool, and I think it probably was for you as well, which is NLP. So, I mean, NLP is a huge subject, obviously, but can you kind of summarize what it gave you, what it allowed you to do?
Yes. I think two massive things. Okay, I'm going to say three massive things with NLP. I mean, it's plenty, okay, but three for me, massive. First one, the way I speak to myself and the way I speak to others. Reprogramming yourself. The way you speak is in your unconscious mind. Like, everything you hear, everything you say, everything is in your unconscious mind, right? Even when you sleep, whatever you hear is there, registered. Now, if you use your conscious mind to replace the stuff that is in your unconscious mind, and how you do that? By repetition. Let's say by repetition you replace it, but let's say, to give you a personal example as well, and I think this is really practical. When I was younger, I was... now I said it right. Sometimes when I was young, excuse me. When I was younger, I used to be very negative. I used to be complaining about things, and I was always saying, "Oh, I'm not gonna pass this exam." You know, I was playing the victim role a lot, and I was like, "Oh, this is not great. That person is not great." Like, a little bit critical with the whole scenario, like with everyone, with myself. You know, I'm not great at this, I'm not that, I'm not creative. I was putting lots of negative thoughts in my head all the time. And not only when I talk to myself, but when I was talking to people. So one of the things I changed thanks to NLP was to change the way I speak. So someone said to me, Nerea, be more positive, speak, you know, in a positive way. It was my mother first, then it was this guy in the seminar, then it was lots of books online that I was reading, NLP books, etc. The way you speak is reprogramming you. Now, if you notice yourself, it was really funny actually, when I started to reprogram myself into more positive, instead of saying, I cannot do this, I would say, I will be able to do this, right? So I was changing very simple things.
Yeah.
And that change, it was interesting because, for example, I will go, oh, I can't do this. I mean, I will be able to do it. And then people will go like, what?
So you catch yourself doing it and then stop.
And I was like, sorry, I'm just reprogramming myself, don't worry. And they will go like, what? So it was a really fun experience because I was all the time correcting myself and people would go like, are you right? I was like, oh yeah, don't worry, I'm just reprogramming my brain. And I'm like, what? Like, it was just good. It was really, really funny. So, I cannot do this. If you say I'm not creative, I'm working on being more creative. Just give some light into your life. And that sounds like, yeah, but it's a lie. I'm telling myself a little bit of bullshit. Yes, yes, that's what you're doing. But keep it doing it, because when let's say, you will very early realize that it's become part of you, and it's become your vocabulary, and it's become the way you speak. And when people say, Nerea, you're so positive, no, I just speak positively. It's like I've changed the way I speak, and I feel more positive. It's not that because you become that person when you repeat to your brain. And it's not because some people is, oh, but I cannot stop thinking about it. No, you don't stop thinking about it. You start thinking about something else. And then, and then there is, when you start thinking in different way or speaking different way, you're replacing, there is no space for these other ways of speaking because you don't use them anymore. They are dead. So in your brain doesn't exist. That's why you become someone else, because in your brain, what was your way of speaking is gone. It doesn't exist. Like, very, very rare you will hear me saying, I can't do that. It's very rare that I will say it because there's no space for it anymore. It's uncomfortable. It becomes uncomfortable. It becomes as uncomfortable as to when you change into a more positive one. So it's the same obviously.
But its power is that you can choose to do it.
Yeah, you can choose to do it. And you just have to trust that it's going to work at some point. At the beginning, it's uncomfortable. At the beginning, it takes time. You still have the habits of being negative, or you still have the habits of doing that. And I'm not saying negativity is not useful. Negativity is welcome, and it help us to realize things and to change things around. But it's the habit of being there all the time what really drives us crazy and makes us feel like shit, basically. Yeah. So I think that's one of the most powerful things that NLP teach me. Second thing is reframing. So basically changing every scenario into a more positive one. Which, it can be something like, my problem is my opportunity. Like, instead of my problem is a problem, you can always reframe things. So that's giving me, we have to be a bit careful with this one, because reframing can put you into a fantasy as well. You can be living into a fantasy and really, being honest, and, you kind of blind about things, especially when you start learning these things, you get into this crazy motivation, positivity, and it can be too much. I think it can, it's nice to still keep it real and like reframe things, but when you don't like something, you don't like it. You don't have to like it by reframing it, if that makes sense. So I think reframing is really, really useful, but also we have to. So that's one of the things that's given me, and that's also given me a lot of creativity, because when you practice reframing, you become much more playful, because you have to come up with something, with a different thing. So let's say someone come to me and they say, oh, Nerea, I've got a problem. And instead of going, okay, what's the problem? I could go, oh my God, my mind is everywhere. But instead of going, okay, tell me the problem, I will go like, great, so we have something to work on. Yeah. We're very lucky. And suddenly the problem is allowing us to have something to talk about. Yeah. And it's so you don't only use reframing to reframe your life, but to reframe someone's life. And that is the power of reframing as well, because you're changing people's realities by only changing the way they think about something. Yeah. By you showing what you think about that thing.
So the linguistic side of so neurolinguistic programming, the linguistic side often gets ignored. It's like how we use language to program ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. How we use language is very important, but you have to trust this. You have to believe in this, because if not, probably it wouldn't work. It's like if you don't believe in the tools that you're learning. So I think you have to believe it and trust that it's going to work, and then it will work. Like, I mean, I've proved that to myself. I'm not just saying it from the book, but actually I've tested that. And then the last thing I'm going to say just very quickly is the connecting with people, building rapport with people by mirroring them, all this stuff that you've probably heard. Mirroring people, mirroring the voice, the tone of voice. When you're in the phone as well, you can just match the tone of voice, and talking about topics they talk about, using the words they use. So all this stuff is like building rapport quicker.
Yes.
And I've also tested this a lot. And again, we have to be careful to not get into the mirroring pattern all the time. And people is like, why are you touching your nose when I'm touching my nose? Why are you doing that? It's like, that would be too much. So you have to be careful. But I think if you know how to use it, if you practice it, it's useful. Especially in coaching, when you're coaching someone, it's very, very useful because they feel connected to you. When you mirror someone, they feel you are like them, and people like us. So it's you just build that connection much faster. So these three things for me are the most powerful ones.
That's fantastic. That's a really good explanation of NLP in a very short period of time.
Nice.
So thank you. Can I just sort of remind you of a conversation that we had a while ago when you were talking about pose, and it relates to what you've just been saying. You said to me, before I started doing the modeling work or whatever, I had to almost reframe the way I thought about myself.
Oh, yes.
Do you remember talking about that?
Yes.
It's like you were saying to me, I had to look at each part of me.
Oh, yes.
And become okay with it.
Yeah, that was really powerful. Basically, I had complexes, right? I've got a few complexes. I'm going to tell you 3 of them. I just like the rule of 3.
Three is coming up a lot today, yeah.
I don't know what's happening with the number 3 today. But anyway, so this, if you see this bone here, like, can you see the bone here?
I can see the bone, yeah.
Yeah. So when I was younger, because my arm was so extremely thin, I was very, very skinny, like extremely skinny. That bone was like that big in my face, was like that big, I was like, and I used to like be very, very, I felt really weird to have like t-shirts, and in Spain it's hot, you have to wear t-shirts, you cannot just, so I was wearing shirts and like, I was uncomfortable. That one was one thing. Then here in my chest, obviously I don't think no one can see it now, but like, because I was really skinny, I don't know if you can notice a little bit of a bone here.
A little bit of a bone, yeah.
So when I was younger, I used to press it because I was so obsessed with the bones coming out. And I was like pressing here, like, I was like completely fucked up in my mind, really. So, I mean, fucked up or not fucked up, but like it was there, okay? That's me being honest now. And it's like anorexic people, when they see at the mirror and they see themselves fat. For me, I saw myself so skinny that I hated that. I was like completely the opposite of anorexic. Maybe there's a name for it, but I never really like call it that name.
Well, it's body dysmorphia, isn't it? So it's looking in the mirror and seeing something that isn't necessarily there.
Something is wrong, exactly. And then my nose was too big as well. So like profile pictures impossible. I used to press my nose as well. Like, I don't know what I was thinking. Maybe if I press it, it's gonna come in. I don't know. Like, seriously, I had no idea what I was doing. But to be honest, I was quite old when I was doing that. It's not that I was 6 or something. I was already like 18 or something. It was really, anyway. So I just saw myself. It was okay. So I was focusing in what I didn't like about myself. Okay. Now, I remember someone, I can't remember who exactly, but someone was mentioning about the focus. Where we focus on is what our life is about and is what we get, right? So I observed myself in what my focuses were. And one of my focuses was, I was focusing on what I don't like about myself. Instead of going, actually, I love my lips. Actually, I love my eyes. Actually, I love my hair. Actually, I love my ass. I don't know, whatever. I was not focusing on that at all. That was like lost in the air. Like if this is your brain, that was a little part of it. And then everything was focusing on what is not. So what I decided to do is make peace. I mean, many things, right? Because first of all is the focus. You change the focus into what you like, fine. But now this is dangerous, because if you start ignoring what you don't like from a place of hate or from a place of rejection, those places stay there. It gets stuck in your body somewhere. Now, I had to make peace with the things that I didn't like about myself before I even focus in the right things or in the things that I like, because then I don't think it would be healthy to just leave things there.
Sure.
So I was discussing with my mother, and, I was opening up about the things that I didn't like about myself. And when there's something that really helped me, which made me think about things and take action in different ways, which was my mother was telling me, because I was telling her, look, I don't like my nose. Like, I seriously have problems with my nose. Like, I'm thinking to operate it or like to do something about it. And then she went, Nerea, you know that the best personalities, they always have a big nose. And I was like, what do you mean? It's like, if you check actors, people that is known by their great personality, check it out. You're going to see that big personalities mean big noses. Big noses mean big personalities.
Right.
And from that moment, I didn't even do the research. I was like, I need this belief. I need it. I was like, whatever. Even if it's not true, I'm just going to take it and I'm going to use it for myself. So from that moment, I started to see myself like, I started to believe that maybe my personality was great. And, my whole reality just changed for a simple sentence that my mom told me. And you said very practical. And for me, if something works, use it. It doesn't matter if it's not true, but if it works, it's like, keep using that, right? So from that moment, I started to look at my body, and I was like, actually, my body is like a model body. It's like, that's what models have. Why I'm gonna be rejecting it? This is
sure.
What it is. And maybe I'm the luckiest person, and I've never realized that. So, like, suddenly I was thinking, oh my God, like, I'm so lucky. I can eat everything and I don't get fat. Like, but like before, it was like obsession with food. I have to eat to gain weight, right, to have shape, to like. So focus on accepting every single part of your body. With one of my clients, I think I mentioned it to you. I asked her to make a list of the things that anyone can do it. If you guys are watching this, you make a list of the things you don't like about yourself, and you find a reason why you should like it.
Yeah.
And it can be something like the personality example. It can be, round faces. There's studies that prove that is good people. Like they don't go to prison that often. People that go round faces. So I started to research everything about the body, like how, what things with this, with that. And it's incredible. You change your reality because you're looking for ways to change it, and you're looking for different truth. Like,
you're basically reframing. You're using reframing to think differently about your body.
Yes.
In a kind of NLP type way. But now you're actually teaching this. This is part of the pose workshop, right? Yeah. Maybe do you want to describe how that works briefly?
Yeah, so Pose Workshop is about being confident, being comfortable in front of the camera and bringing your essence out. Because, when you take pictures, videos, when you speak on the stage, whatever you do that is showing, or sharing something with the world, the people that really outstand for me are always people. They don't judge themselves. They don't reject themselves. And what I help you to do in Pose, photoshoot on self-esteem, is to bring that essence, or to bring that comfortable feeling in front of the camera, even though you might hate the camera, or you don't know what to do because it's new, or it's just, or maybe you have some complexes in yourself. So before we go into the photo shoot time, we have a workshop time, and I basically ask them to share with us what they don't like about themselves, what they like and what they don't like.
Right.
So we share it. We go through things that are, seriously, it's incredible, because people come up with such things. It's like, oh, I think my hairs in my eyebrows are too long. And it's like, no one ever noticed that, And from the moment you share it, it's giving you freedom. But also when you see that no one else can see that, it's like, oh my God, why I'm obsessed with this when no one else can see it. It's like, it's just me. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I remember last time there was things like, oh, my face is not symmetric. I'm like, and that's beautiful. That's whose face is symmetric? It's like, and
the
I was like,
symmetrical face people are all in prison anyway, so don't worry about it.
Exactly, right? No, but and I do is like, these things you don't like, I'm gonna show them. I'm gonna prove you that in the camera it's got nothing to do, but I'm gonna make sure that you see that, we're gonna show it to the camera. Let's say if this is my complex, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna take a picture like that, see what happens. And when I see it from the outside, I'm like, it's nothing. You can't see it. It's like, no one can see it. And you ask people around, guys, can you see any problems with this picture? Everyone, no, it's a great picture. No one noticed anything. So it's just here. It's just in our head. And it happens with lots of things, with anorexic, with this, with that. It's the habit of focusing in the wrong things, in the things that are not giving you any pleasure, or any fun, any happiness.
That's great. Thank you. I just want to sort of start to wind up, but I do want to talk to you about the book that you are about to write.
Yes,
I suppose what I want to ask you is, who taught you how to write? And if no one taught you how to write, how have you learned how to write?
I don't know how to write. I haven't learned it. So, okay. No one told me how to write. I gotta say, when I was younger, I had very, very good marks in writing. I wrote very good stories in Spanish. My teachers always told me, you're gonna be a writer. And I was like, what do you mean? For me, it was like, nah. There was no, my teachers, actually my mother. No, my teachers didn't really say anything about it. But my mom was really impressed. She was like, oh my God, you're getting really good in this. Now, it was never my passion, though. It's still not my passion, I have to say. Or maybe it is, but I haven't really explored that too much. But when I was in finance, I was really bored, as some people do. And I had some free time there, and I decided to start a blog. And of course, the first thing is like, yeah, but I don't know how to write, right? That's the first thought. And then you go, and what? Every time you give an excuse, you go like, and what, and what, and what? Suddenly there's no excuses, like, yeah, so I have to do it, right? So I started to write the blog, and somehow I can see, even people that was following my blog, they were saying, oh, you're getting better, you're getting better, you're getting better. And it's a blog in English. So I don't consider myself, I don't even know how I write, because I haven't got really a lot of feedback. I had a writer, it's called Tom Batley or something like that. He's a bestseller or whatever. Uh-huh. He came to one of my talks, and I asked him, can you read my blog? And he actually gave me really good feedback. I was like, this is a joke. I was like, what do you mean? It's like, yeah, Nerea, you write very fresh, because I write as I speak. I don't write as a writer. I write as I speak. I just,
sure.
Well, I don't know how writers write, but I guess for me, writing is such a creative thing. So why there's a way to write? I don't get that. For me, there was a moment where I was like, there's no way to write. Obviously, yes, there is. If you want to write maybe novel or science, I'm sure there is something you can learn about it to write more effectively, or to, there is studies that says, okay, all the best novels follow these patterns or follow these things.
Sure.
Great, you can learn that. But if you don't want to write any of that and you just want to write freestyle, you can. It's not a big deal. You actually can do that. So my blog was, for me, a thing that I started also to learn, but to improve my English. So that was also one of the reasons why I started that. And the thing is about the book, I'm not very, very confident about my writing, but I'm very confident there is amazing people in the world that is going to help me to make it look amazing and to make it sound great. So I'm just not worried at all. I'm like, I'm going to put my essence into the book. I'm going to put my thoughts. I'm going to make it in my Spanglish language.
Yeah.
And then someone is going to help me to make sure that it's understandable. But I still don't want someone to edit it in a way that sounds English. I want it to sound as I sound. I want it to sound Spanglish, because this is who I am. This is what I do. So I think this is, for me, where Unschooled comes in. Yeah. Forget about the rules too much. It's okay to have some direction. It's okay to learn some skills. But when you learn too much, you can kill your essence. You can kill your ideas. So that's why sometimes I'm against learning too much. Not against education, but against learning too much to the point that you forget yourself. Whatever you learn, you have yourself to add to it. It's not that this is adding to you. This is you take it and then you add to it. You make it better.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. Wow. So, okay, Nerea, I just want to give you an opportunity to let people know how to contact you, maybe come to one of your gigs.
Gigs.
Workshops. Workshops, yeah. So how do people contact you?
So people can contact me through Facebook, Nerea Carryon, Nerea Carryon with Y. Obviously my email, I'm not going to share it here just because of the spammers there. No, but you can contact me through Facebook. You can also contact to the Happy World Company, which is hello@thehappyworldcompany.com. And I will read it. So you can, I'm sure if you put Nerea in the subject, it will go straight to me. So that's the two best ways to contact me, or the fastest ways. If you want to come to my events, this Saturday I've got posts, photo shoot on self-esteem.
Great.
There's 2 spots left, so if you guys want to join in, if you tell me that you've watched this video, you will get a discount. So just tell me, I'll give you a £50 discount. I just said that. Ta-da!
Wow.
Hallelujah. So come along. It's full day event. Saturday, if you're free, it's gonna change your life. I know that, not only because my clients have told me how it has helped them, but also because it's not only the experience. You get 10 professional pictures to use however you like, and you can either take pictures for your profiles, but perhaps there was last time that we ran it, there was a woman coming. She started a business, silent disco business, and she bring her headphones. I mean, she made all day because we were all dancing, but also I
was trying to work out on Facebook what was going on.
What are they doing, right? Exactly. So she brought the headphones, and we were taking pictures for her business. So we were taking group pictures, we were taking creative pictures for herself. So whatever whatever needs you've got, let's say you tell me, okay, my business is a coaching business, or my business is this, I need lifestyle pictures, or no, actually I need food pictures. I'm going to bring my food tools, or I'm going to bring my, plate of food that I made yesterday, whatever. You can bring your tools, your accessories to use in the photo shoot. So you live with your pictures done for your business or for yourself.
You have a professional photographer working with you on that day?
Yes, we've got 2 people, 2 amazing photographers. One is Still Lavelle, which you can see the website, and he is brilliant. Like, even if you're the ugliest, poser, like the worst poser in the world, you're going to get amazing pictures. So you have to worry about that. Because on top of the part of the photographer being amazing, obviously I'm there with you, and I'm going to give you the confidence and, the support you need. And I'm going to suggest and direct you, in the process of doing it for you to bring your best. So I would say pictures guaranteed to be good, but because I've done it so many times now, I'm thinking I'm so confident about it. And then there's Richard Martin, which is a very creative photographer. So we have the classic photographer, which is making really classic, clean, like really professional pictures. And then we have Richard, which is very professional as well, but it's much more creative. He is more like bringing the vibe, you know. So we have really two different photographers that they both bring their own essence. And it's amazing. So Saturday, come along. Now, one more thing I'm going to say. I'm working with businesses at the moment. I'm giving conferences and workshops into businesses. So if you're a business owner or if you're working in human resources, please contact me and I will tell you what's happening and what things I can do in your company. And I'm bringing happiness into the businesses because I think it's very important. And when I was in a business, I think that was a little bit like forgotten. Like that, being happy was not important. And I think it's something that I would love to bring into corporations, into businesses. So let's make it happen.
Fantastic. Nerea, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been an absolute pleasure. I think we've covered quite a lot. And
yeah. It was like a coaching, it was like a workshop, wasn't it? A little bit.
Kind of. Anyway, thank you so much, Nerea. And
thank you.
Thank you again.